All right, here we go with step 2 of the train project. We're going to make the wheel. So I'm going to say new. We're going to open a standard IPT file. And let's go ahead and do a sketch. And let's select the front face right here, which is the XY plane. And we can see that if we click on origin. Those are the planes, and we can see that this is the XY plane. So we'll go ahead and pick that. Now what we're going to do is create a profile of half of the wheel. So I'm going to make a rectangle. And I'm going to put another rectangle inside of it. Then I'm going to go up here to arc, and I'm going to make sure I'm using 3-point arc. And I'm going to click on this top edge right here, and this top edge right here, and pull it out until I see those tangent marks. It tells me it's a perfect half circle. Okay, now I'm going to use a feature called trim. I'm going to trim off the extra lines that I don't need. And there's actually 2 of them right here, so I have to click it twice. Okay, and that's what I want my wheel profile to look like. Now we need to give it the dimensions that I actually want. So let's make this a 1/4 inch. And let's make this a 1/4 inch. And we're going to have this length right here be a 1/2 inch. And I want this to come in exactly 1/2 of a 1/4, which is 1/8, which it already is, but I'm just going to type it in again just for kicks. I want to make sure that this is 1/8 of an inch, which it says it is, but we'll type it in just for fun. I want this to actually come up 1/4 inch, so it looks like that. And that is it. Those are the dimensions we need for our wheel. Now what we're going to do is we're going to revolve this thing around this bottom edge. So go up to 3D model and select revolve, and it'll automatically select the profile. And the axis we're going to revolve around is this bottom axis. And it spins. Now it looks flat, so I want you to click on the far corner here so I can see the other side of it. And you can actually see there is the indent of the wheel. And we're going to say, hey, that looks pretty good. And it was a full revolve, which is 360 degrees, so we'll say OK. And there it is. So now we're going to take another sketch and put it right on this front face. And we're going to put a point right in the middle, because I'm going to put a hole there, and that point identifies that spot. So I'm going to go to 3D model and then say hole. And the type of hole I'm going to use is all just simple. It's actually the default is perfect. I want it to be a 1/4 inch in diameter, and I want it to go all the way through. So I'm just going to say OK. And now I have a hole that goes through the wheel. Now we're going to put another sketch on the inside surface, not the outside surface, but the actual inside surface of this. So it's based right on here. And we're going to take another circle, and I'm just going to throw it on here. It's not in the right place, and it's not the right size, but we're going to make it that way in just a second. So I'm going to go to dimension, and I'm going to tell this circle to have a diameter of 0.25. And I'm also going to tell it to be a distance from that center point to this center point should be 0.75 inches. And I'm also going to do what's called a horizontal constraint. Okay, I'm going to click on that horizontal constraint. I'm going to say that center point and the center point over here, which was kind of hidden but it highlights, should be horizontal to one another. And now it's locked, and you see it just turned blue right there, and it also down in the bottom of our screen says fully constrained. That circle can't move anywhere. Based on all the dimensions and constraints we've put on it, it has to be right there. So now we're going to go to 3D model, and we're going to go to extrude, and I'm going to select that circle, which you might have to orbit around to get a better view of it. I'm going to select that circle, and I'm going to have it extrude out 1/4 inch, just like that, and we'll say OK. Now I'm going to do that again so that it comes out a little bit more. So I'm going to go to create sketch. I'm going to put it on top of that. I'm going to make another little circle, and it's going to be half that size. So that first circle was 1/4 inch, so this next circle is going to be 1/8 inch. So we'll type that in. 1/8 inch is 0.125, and we'll say enter. And then we can go to extrude. And I can go select that little, I might have to zoom in a little, and select that, and I'm going to have it come out 1/8 inch also, which is 0.125, and we'll say OK. Now we have something that looks like that. Now I want a little hole right on the end of that thing, so we're going to put a sketch one more time on the end of it, and we're going to put a point right there in the middle, and then 3D model, and let's go to hole. And this hole is going to be a little one, so it's going to be 1/16 inch, which is 0.0625. So it's going to be 1/16 inch in diameter, and you can see that it's half the size of that peg that it's on. I'll show you from a different side. There, that's what it looks like. And I want it to go down 1/4 inch. Oops. So instead of through all, we're going to change it to distance. And the distance, the depth of that hole is going to be 0.25. And you can see the preview of it. That's what it's going to look like. And we're going to say, yep, that looks pretty good. So now it's got a hole right there. Now there's only one more thing we need to add to this, and it's an axis. And you're not going to understand why you need it yet, but later on you will. Basically, it's going to be an axis, a line that goes right through that wheel, and we're going to use it later so that when we spin one of the wheels, we can lock all these axes together and all 4 wheels will spin together. Okay, so just believe me. Trust me on that one. So what we're going to do to get that axis is let's go ahead and look right at this. And I'm going to say, let's put a sketch on this face, and I want you to go find alright, I paused the recording there a second ago because I was actually starting to lead you down the wrong path. So instead of putting a sketch on this face, what I want you to do instead is don't be in sketch mode. So if you already went into sketch mode, just do an undo. You can back up, you can do Control Z or just click the undo button until you get back to something that looks like this. You're looking straight at it. Okay. Now what we want to do is take this axis feature right up here, and I want you to select the center point of this circle and the center point of that little circle right there, and that puts an axis that's going to look like that. And if we look at it from the top view, which is this arrow right here, you're going to see that it goes perfectly through there. Okay, that is the axis that later on we're going to be able to take and use to spin this wheel. So now that you've got that, and actually you shouldn't have these yellow lines. If you have these yellow lines in these circles, it's because you have a sketch over here that you never used. Mine is sketch 6, and I'm just going to right click on it and say delete. But it's saying, hey, that axis exists on that sketch. Do you want to get rid of the axis also, that feature? No, I don't want to get rid of that extra feature. So I'm going to say OK. So now I'm left with just my axis and my wheel. Go ahead and save that as wheel, and go ahead and move on to step 3.